Welcome to the Tell Us Ellis podcast.
All right, everybody, another day, time for another team preview, or two, I should say. 2 team previews. We're down to the last 4. We have been through 26 teams, 4 left. I'll do this recording today. It'll drop actually in the morning, and then the next one and final one will drop Saturday morning. I will do an overall baseball preview show that'll drop probably Monday morning. And then that'll take us to the season. The season is less than 1 week away. So it's very exciting. If you're enjoying these podcasts, as always, I do my PR piece of this, and that is to say, please subscribe, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're watching your podcasts or listening to your podcasts. Please subscribe. It just helps me ensure that I'm getting a lot of good viewers out there, and really appreciate that. And then if you like the individual podcast shows, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I always like to read those, and really appreciate you following me. On social media, I can be found on @TellUsEllis HQ. I had to think about that for a second. @TellUsEllisHQ. That's on X, and that's on Instagram. And then if you have any questions, feel free to email me, jamie@tellusellis.com. That is, reaching out to me if you want to be part of the show, if you want to explore a topic, if you have questions, mailbag questions, whatever it is, just email me. NCAA tournament started today, and already had, I think, a couple upsets. So we're getting going with that. But for now, definitely focused on baseball and finishing it out. So today, we will talk about 2 teams, the Washington Nationals and the Milwaukee Brewers. We will start with the Nationals and then go to the Brewers. Okay, the Washington Nationals. They won the World Series not too long ago, but let's look back at their more recent history. 2021, 65 wins, 97 losses. That was 5th place, 23 and a half games out. Not a great season. 2022 got worse, 55 wins, 107 losses, another 5th place finish, 46 games back. 2023, they improved 16 games, won 71 and lost 91. Same with 2024. So some improvement there, but then they fell back 5 games last year, finished 66 and 96, 5th place, 30 games back. They were 30 and 33 on June 6th, but then lost 11 straight. And again, they won the World Series in 2019, but ever since then, they've had losing records. This is a rebuilding team, no doubt about it. So, what we're going to look at is prospects heavily and farm system heavily, but they do have some pieces that we'll talk about as well, some really nice players. Overall, from a manager standpoint, there is a new manager in Washington this year, Blake Butera. He's 33 years old, one of the youngest managers in Major League Baseball in more than 50 years. So he's a former minor league infielder. He was drafted by Tampa Bay in 2015. He became the minor league manager and player development leader, including director of player development for the Rays. His reputation as a player development specialist is very well known. Again, Nationals are in a full rebuild here. The only real question is, you're going through this rebuild. You have a 33-year-old at the helm of the team. Does he have the coaching experience to get a team through a rebuild? Maybe he's the perfect answer. I'm not sure. General manager, they actually have a president of baseball operations, Phil Taboni. He was hired after the 25 regular season, so he's new as well. They do have a general manager, and Anidra Kilambi, and I think I'm saying that right. Anirida Kilambi. I'm sorry if I offend that individual, but new leadership, young and analytics oriented, focused on player development, rebuilding, inspired by the Tampa and Boston analytical model. Tabini is a former Red Sox executive, a highly analytical thinker. He's a strategic planner. I'll just call him a modern baseball executive. Tabini does have a limited track record as to being the top decision maker. Now, Kilambi was a longtime exec with Tampa, extremely intelligent, analytics leader, and again, I use this term, more of a modern front office approach. From an ownership standpoint, the Lerner family owns this team with managing principal owner Mark Lerner. They've got strong financial backing during 2012 to 2019 when they were in that competitive window. They were willing to go out and spend money when they had to. This ownership group has explored selling, and there is a perception that they've become more conservative during the rebuild, maybe get rid of some assets to get a higher price, overall higher profit margin. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening, but that could be what happens to this team. So really just an overall redo for this Nationals organization. They play at Nationals Park. It is a park that has a little bit of a positive run variation. It comes in at a plus 102 on an average of 100. So runs are up about 2% throughout the year. April, runs are down 9%. Again, cold in Washington. The ball doesn't travel as well. There's a huge impact of wind and air density. May plays pretty even. June pretty even. July pretty even. August, it's up 6%, and then September up another 2%. So overall, like I said, plus 102. I've never been there. I get a sense that it's a pretty bland park. And if I'm wrong with that, then I apologize because like I said, I've never been there, but I'm also comparing it to Oriole Park at Camden Yards, which is not too far up the street, and just the modern look and feel of that stadium. So I will always compare the Nationals and Orioles for better or worse. And in the regard of stadium, I think the Orioles have the much better home. So what happened in the offseason to this team? Not a lot of changes. Mackenzie Gore is probably the biggest change. Mackenzie Gore was traded to the Rangers. Starting pitcher, really had I don't want to call it a breakout year because he was only 5-15. His ERA was 4.17, but 159 and 2/3 innings and 185 strikeouts. That strikeout to innings pitch ratio really improved through, pitched in 30 games. A 135 whip is a little elevated, but, the thinking was he's kind of come into his own and maybe sell high with the Rangers as far as the trade goes. Jose Ferrer is a relief pitcher who was traded to the Mariners. The Mariners really like this guy, hard thrower. Was 4-4 with a 4.48 ERA last year in 72 games. He did pitch 76 1/3 innings, struck out 71 batters, and threw to a 127 whip. So again, Mariners saw a lot of upside in him. I'm excited to see where he fills out their bullpen. And then two hitters that are no longer with this team. Josh Bell is one. He signed with the Twins. Again, I always say Josh Bell, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get that 240 to 250 average, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs, 730, 740 OPS. Paul DeJong is the other. He signed with the Yankees, third baseman, 228 last year, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, and a 642 OPS. So who did the Nationals pick up in some of these trades and so forth? Well, let's talk about the Mariners trade. Harry Ford is a catcher. He was the 12th pick overall in the 2021 draft, highly touted catcher, a catching prospect. Cal Raleigh is in Seattle. He is well entrenched there right now. I think the Mariners felt they could let go of a guy like Harry Ford. So he only had 6 at-bats last year. He is with the Nationals now. He did just get sent down to the minor leagues to start the season, but he is a highly regarded prospect. From the Rangers, Gavin Flynn is a shortstop that came over from the Rangers in the Mackenzie Gore trade. Flynn is the 12th overall pick in the 2025 draft. So, they gave up a lot for Mackenzie Gore, a 12th round overall selection from 25 draft, Gavin Flynn again. So trying to build up that farm system a little bit, and I think they succeeded in doing that in 2 of those trades. They did fill out their rotation with some other players. Zach Littell was one of them. Littell, 10-8 with a 3.81 ERA last year, 32 games started, 186 2/3 innings pitched, 130 strikeouts. He pitched to a 1.10 whip, had a really nice year last year. Miles Mikolas comes over from St. Louis. Mikolas 8-11 with a 4.84 ERA, 31 games started, 156 1/3 innings pitched, just 100 strikeouts, and a 132 whip. It'll be good for Miles Mikolas to have a change of scenery here, but Mikolas just not an ideal starting pitcher. I'm just going to be honest with you. His numbers have been pretty bad the last couple of years. I think he had one season that was pretty good, but his numbers just do not look good. But he's in Washington. He can give them some innings. Foster Griffin, another starting pitcher, comes over. He's another guy. He only pitched in 6 games last year, just 6 1/3 innings. So you can't really look at his statistics and get a whole lot out of it. And then Drew Smith is a relief pitcher who signed on a minor league deal. Smith, 19 games last year, pitched to a 3.06 ERA, just 17 2/3 innings. He struck out 23. His whip was a little elevated at 153. And actually, those numbers that I'm reading, that was from the 2024 regular season, as he did not pitch in the majors in 2025. So that was going back 2 years. Smith now, the thinking is that he's going to be healthy and maybe can help this team in some way, whether he makes the major league roster or he just stays in the minors as part of his deal. We'll see what he can bring to this team. So that's it. That's what they added. Those are the changes. So let's dig into first their hitting as a team. So bottom third of the league in hitting, first in average, 25th in on base percentage, 24th in OPS. They, like I said, they have a couple nice players here. CJ Abrams, the shortstop, left-handed hitter, 25 years old, raised his average to 257 last year. Not great, and his 315 on base percentage isn't great, but hit 19 home runs, stole 31 bases. Legitimate 2020 guy. If he could just get that average up a little higher or be a little bit more patient at the plate, maybe he could draw a few more walks. But overall, pretty good year for CJ Abrams. James Wood is a absolute stud. This guy was the 62nd overall pick in the 2021 draft by San Diego. He came over in the Soto deal a couple of years ago. Last year, 256, 31 home runs, 15 stolen bases, a 350 on base percentage. I'd love to see what this guy could do on a team that is contending because, again, I think he is just a stud, just 23 years old. A lot to like about James Wood. He is going to likely DH most of the time. I just feel like that's where he is best suited. Another left-handed swinger in James Wood. Dylan Cruz missed a ton of time last year due to injury. He was the 2nd overall pick in the 2023 draft. He's a guy I'll have my eye on from a fantasy baseball standpoint. So last year batted just 208, 10 home runs, 17 stolen bases. That was just in 322 plate appearances. So doesn't get on base a lot, 28% of the time. But again, opening day, he'll be 24 years old. So has a chance to really grow here and seeing what he can do. Luis Garcia is playing first base. He might platoon a little bit out there at first base, but he's been a pretty interesting player, one of those fringe fantasy guys. 252 average and a 289 on base percentage. Those aren't great, but did hit 16 home runs and stole 14 bases. So not terrible numbers from Garcia. Kind of like the guy. From a first base standpoint, he's probably going to platoon with Andres Chaparro a little bit. Chaparro only batted 182 last year, but that was only in 83 plate appearances. But an opportunity for a platoon there. But I would like to see Garcia get more at-bats than Chaparro. Dylan Lyle is a 23-year-old that batted 299 last year, 9 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 351 plate appearances. He was the 47th overall pick by the Nationals in the 2021 draft. His on-base percentage, 347 last year, 498 slugging percentage. So you're talking about a guy who's, in the 900 slugging percentage wise and 351 at bats. A lot to like there if you're the Nationals. And Dylan Lyle, again, left fielder there, just 23 years old. Brady House, another young guy, 22 years old. He'll be closer to 23 at opening day, but he was the 11th overall pick of the Nationals back in 2021. I'm actually getting a little bit excited about this Nationals team as I'm going through this because I like these young players. Lyle and Cruz. Wood is still 23 years old. Even CJ Abrams is still just 25 years old. But Brady House last year, 274 at-bats, batted 234, 4 home runs, 5 stolen bases, a brutal on-base percentage of 252. But again, 11th overall pick in the draft. He's going to play third base and see what he can do. I guess I can call him the veteran of this group, catcher Keibert Ruiz, who is 27 years old, hardly a veteran. He batted 247 last year with 2 home runs, just 267 plate appearances. He's probably going to be behind the dish most days for this Nationals team. Nasim Nunez, second baseman. Nunez was the 46th overall pick back in 2019 by the Miami Marlins. He came over as a Rule 5 pick of the Nationals in 2023. He's a switch hitter. Last year, batted 232, 4 home runs, 9 stolen bases, only 92 plate appearances. But in limited time, he did pretty well, and see what he can do, maybe on more of a full season basis. And then the last guy I'll talk about from a starting lineup standpoint is Jacob Young. Really has the potential to play center field regularly. Last year batted 231, 2 home runs, 15 stolen bases. That was 364 plate appearances. Young's 26 years old. He was a 7th round pick of the Nationals back in 2021. So like I said, I mean, CJ Abrams 25, James Wood 23, Dylan Cruz 24, Dalen Lyle is 23. Brady House, 22. There's a lot to like there, a lot of young talent in Washington. I mentioned Chaparro on the bench. Others, Drew Millis is likely to be the backup catcher. He's a switch hitter. Only 55 plate appearances last year, batted 306. Jose Tena is a utility infielder, another younger guy, 25 years old, came out of the Guardian system. Batted just 243 in 169 plate appearances last year. And then Joey Weimer is an outfielder, can play a lot of different outfield positions. Came over from the Giants via waivers, batted 236 last year and only 61 plate appearances. So again, this team was bottom third of the league in offense last year, and they might not do much better than that this year, but at least you have some good young players who are going to get a chance to swing a bat every day in this lineup. What about starting pitching? Starting pitching was really an issue for the Nationals last year, and more so than the hitting, kind of an Achilles heel for them. They were 29th in the league in ERA, 28th in WHIP, and we'll go through it a little bit, but here's some of the reasons why. Their number one starter is Cade Cavalli. Cavalli was the 22nd pick of Washington back in 2020. Really came out and pitched last year, was given a chance. He started 10 games, 48 and 2/3 innings, 57 hits and 40 strikeouts, pitched to a 4.25 ERA. He's going to get a chance to pitch every 5th day this year, see what he can do. As the 22nd overall pick in 2020, you hope there's some upside there. I mentioned Miles Mikolas, the veteran, 37 years old. Not excited about this guy at all. Not at all. He's not a number 2 starter. He's not even a number 5 starter, but he will be in this rotation, and as long as he's healthy, he's going to pitch regularly. Foster Griffin, he is a free agent who came over from Korea, and originally in the Royals organization. He was the 28th overall draft pick of the Royals back in 2014. And now comes over, was not one of these highly regarded international arms, but he's going to get a chance to, again, pitch every 5th day and see how he does. Jake Irvin is kind of more of a veteran now with this Nationals team. He was drafted back in 2018. Last year, 180 innings, 195 hits, 124 strikeouts. He pitched to a 5.70 ERA, not great numbers. Irvin's had better numbers in the past, but again, see what he can do this coming year. And then their 5th starter's likely to be Zach Littell. I told you, I mean, he had really decent numbers last year, 3.81 ERA, 186 and 2/3 innings, 174 hits, just 130 strikeouts. He's not a big strikeout guy, but, top to bottom, Cavalli is a nice pitcher. Irvin's a decent veteran pitcher. Littell, I think, he can come out and with an ERA in the threes. Griffin really up in the air as to what he can do. So do I think this pitching staff will be better? Maybe, but they're still going to be way at the back end of the league. 30th is not out of the question either. Just not a very good starting staff. Let's talk about their bullpen now. This was, another Achilles heel for this team. 30th in ERA, 30th in WHIP. Did they improve their bullpen? They don't have a named closer. At least I have not seen them name a closer. I think it's going to be by committee. Clayton Beeter is one option. Beeter, 25 and a third innings, 13 hits, 33 strikeouts last year. He had one save, pitched to a 4.26 ERA. Not bad numbers. So see what Beeter can do in that closing role. Cole Henry is another right-handed pitcher who is also a closing option. 52 and 2/3 innings, 43 hits, 52 strikeouts. Not bad at all. So, maybe they have something there in this kind of dueling bullpen by committee. PJ Polin is a left-hander. Polin last year, 24 and 2/3 innings, 23 hits, 27 strikeouts, pitched to a 3.65 ERA. Numbers aren't bad. He was actually picked up off of waivers from Detroit last August. Jackson Rutledge was a 17th overall pick of the Nationals back in 2019, finds himself in the bullpen now, does have a little over a year of service. Rutledge, 73 and a third innings last year, 87 hits, 65 strikeouts, a 5.77 ERA. Don't love that for him, but let's give him the ball in the bullpen. Let's see what he can do. He was a 17th overall draft pick. Celo Perez, former Oriole, signed as a free agent in February. Bad year last year for Celo, 21 and 2/3 innings, 28 hits and 21 strikeouts. He is a matchup arm, a lefty, comes in late, gets a couple outs against left-handed batters, but he won't do that if his ERA is 8.31 like it was last year. Orlando Rebalta is another homegrown Nationals pitcher, 12th round pick. Last year, 7.03 ERA, 24 and a third innings, 28 hits, 25 strikeouts. Don't love those numbers at all. Griff McGarry. McGarry is a Rule 5 pick out of the Phillies system. He was a 5th round pick overall by the Phillies, so he'll come over. He's not had any major league action, but give this guy a chance. He was a 5th round pick. Those Rule 5, the rules around the Rule 5 draft state that you have to keep that pitcher on your major league roster all year. If you do not, you have to offer them back to the Phillies. So why not try to stash him here? You're not going to win this year. See what he can do. From a long relief standpoint, my best guess is Brad Lord. He was a 2022 drafted by the Nationals in 2022, 18th round. Last year actually pitched pretty well, 130 and 2/3 innings, 126 hits, 108 strikeouts, a 4.34 ERA. That is their bullpen. Again, they were 30th in the league last year. They've got some arms here, but this to me is a bottom third of the league bullpen again. Not something to be really excited about. I think if you're the Nationals, you try to see what these young players can do. You put arms out in that bullpen, see who can stick, and maybe be around for the next iteration of a competitive Nationals team. When I look at their injuries, they do have a couple of unfortunately injured players. Both of them had elbow surgery. DJ Hertz, who came over to this team from the Cubs in a trade in 2023, he had Tommy John surgery last April. Probably won't be ready to pitch until May, June, sometime in that time frame, maybe even July. And then Trevor Williams, a veteran starter, 34 years old by opening day. He's got 9 years of service time. He had internal brace surgery back in July of last year. He will not likely pitch at all in 2026. So I talked about like a building team like this. You really have to look at their farm system, and let's talk about it. The Nationals had the worst farm system in baseball back in 2021. Now they were coming off again a World Series victory not too far before that. 26th in 2022, 7th in 2023, 15th in 24, 14th in 25, And right now they stand as the 16th best farm system, according to Baseball America. Let's talk about some of their players. And I've got, about 4 I want to focus in on. The first one is Eli Willits. Willits is a shortstop, just 18 years old, 31st best prospect in all of baseball, according to Baseball America, 6'1", 180 pounds. Willits, he is the youngest player ever drafted number 1 overall based on age. Willits was 17 years, 6 months, and 21 days old on June 30th of his draft year. Younger than even Ken Griffey Jr., Bryce Harper, Carlos Correa, when those guys were drafted really young. Willits is the son of former big leaguer Reggie Willits. I do remember him. He was a switch hitting outfielder who played 6 seasons with the Angels. He signed for $8.2 million. That was, 2.8, almost $2.9 million under slot for the number 1 pick. But it was a lot of money for a really young kid. He saw action in 15 games for Low A Fredericksburg. He hit 300, drew 7 walks, stole 2 bases, and played shortstop and looked pretty good. From a scouting standpoint, his hitting, his running, his fielding ability, he's got a chance to make an impact at every one of those areas. His bat-to-ball skills is really good. He struck out just a handful of times as a high school senior, and he's got an above-average hit tool. He's got sharp zone contact skills. He recognizes pitches really well and stays in the strike zone with a low chase rate. He's got a balanced line drive stroke from both sides of the plate, which allows him to use all fields. Willits adds good weight to his frame and develops his lower half. If he does those things, he should improve his exit velocities, which are really well below average right now. But again, Willits, he's 18 years old, 180 pounds. He's got room to grow. He is a no doubt about it shortstop. That is where he is likely to play for many, many years. He is the national shortstop of the future. By 2028, he'll be just 20 years old. If the math lines up, 2028 will be the final season of club control for C.J. Abrams, the shortstop in Washington. So it could be a baton handoff with Abrams at that point in time. So we'll see. Maybe it's Abrams to Willits. I want to talk about Jarlin Susana. He is another 21-year-old, 6'6", 235-pound, 21-year-old starting pitcher, a right-hand pitcher. 68th prospect overall in baseball. The Juan Soto trade with the Padres is, just keeps paying off. I already mentioned one player, but if you look at it, Susana is somebody that's come over out of that trade. C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, James Wood. Susana ended 2024 on a roll. He had a 2.79 ERA and 123 strikeouts in his final 77 and a third innings. That was mostly at high A ball in 2024. He opened 25 at Double A Harrisburg, lost nearly 3 months of the year with a sprained elbow. But when he returned in July, he was unbelievable. But then he injured his right lat and had season-ending surgery in September. So, look, when he's healthy, he pitches 99 to 100 miles an hour with his four-seam fastball, tops out near 104 miles an hour. He's got a lower release height, which can be deceptive. He's got a 99-mile-per-hour two-seamer that tops out at 102 and has a lot of horizontal life on it. He's got a mid-80s slider that's just it's a devastating pitch. He's got a power changeup that he works in, started working in 2025. It has like a, sprinkler-like action with sink and diving action. Comes in at 93 to 94 miles per hour. Can top out at 97. He throws more quality strikes than ever. Again, really big guy, 6'6", 6'7". 200. I said he was 235. That's when he was drafted. He's actually up to 283 pounds right now. So think of Michael Pineda or Felix Bautista. I mean, you're talking about that kind of size. So he's got upside. He could be a number 2, number 3 starter. Hopefully he's pitching and healthy, and definitely somebody to keep an eye on given his age and how well he throws. I mentioned Harry Ford. Ford came over in the trade with Seattle, and he is a catcher, 22 years old, just 5'10", 200 pounds, 99th best prospect in baseball. The Mariners were drawn to Ford's athleticism out of high school. He was selected 12th overall in 2021, spent almost all of last year with AAA, batted .283 with a .408 on base percentage and a .460 slugging percentage. He had 16 home runs, walked 74 times, struck out 88 times. So good balance in numbers there. He did make his debut in September. He had 6 at-bats for Seattle. But, while he didn't get playing time in the postseason, he was the Mariners' third catcher in their postseason run. So that kind of experience is invaluable, even if you're not playing in the games, you're with the team. Seattle traded Ford and right-hander Isaac Lyon to the Nationals for Jose Ferrer. I told you the Mariners really like Ferrer, so I'm excited to see what he can do in the bullpen. From a scouting report standpoint, Ford, I told you he had 16 AAA home runs. He's got identical in-zone whiff and chase rates as he did in 2024, so nothing changing there. Above average exit velocities. He's actually a plus runner right now, which is unusual for a catcher. He stole 7 bases on 11 attempts, although he did steal 35 bases back in 2024, so he has slowed down on the base paths a little bit. Played 8 games in the outfield as a pro, so that's something else to keep an eye on. His catching was kind of fringy in the past, but now it has a chance to become average. He's worked on it. He's got a strong, sometimes inaccurate throwing arm. He threw out 23% of the base runners that attempted to steal on him. So I said it earlier, he's blocked by Cal Raleigh in Seattle. He's not going to get playing time there. The Mariners took a chance to bring in Ferrer for him. So, he could win some catching duties, maybe out of spring training, and have a job alongside Keibert Ruiz. So, we'll see what happens there. I want to mention one more player, and he's outside of the top 100 from a baseball standpoint, but Luis Perales is a right-hand pitcher, 22 years old, 6'1", 160 pounds. He signed with the Red Sox for $75,000 out of Venezuela in 2019. His development was slow. He had elbow discomfort in 2021 and 2022, but then in 23, he started throwing the ball much better. People started noticing him. He was more healthy, and 24, he broke out. He struck out 39% of the hitters he faced at high A ball and double A. But then, as unfortunately so many pitchers have, he had Tommy John surgery in June. So he's rehabbed. He added a ton of strength. He returned to games late in the year last year and showed triple-digit velocity. He still was trying to work on his command, but he was throwing the ball hard. December, the Red Sox ended up trading him to the Nationals for Jake Bennett, a 25-year-old left-hander. So the Red Sox were looking for a little depth. We're willing to give up on Perales, but he's somebody to keep an eye on. Like I said, his fastball sat 98 to 101 miles an hour last year. He can be a huge swing and miss weapon when he keeps it in the zone. Can reliably locate a low 90s cutter. He's got a gyro slider and splitter that have really good depth that stretches the strike zone vertically. And then he has started to develop a splitter that's become more and more of a reliable weapon for him. And just overall working on his control. Like I said, he's pumping the gas right now, but really needs to work on his control to be a solid starter. He's got the upside of maybe a middle of the rotation number 3 starter. If that doesn't work out, he could be a strong, late innings reliever for this team. So I don't think he will compete for a spot out of the gates in 2026. I would not be surprised if you saw him at some time in 26, whether it's in a starting or bullpen capacity. I just want to finish up on the farm system, talking about their international class this past January. They had two top 50 signings. One was the 26th overall best prospect, Samil Serrano. He's an outfielder signed for $1.97 million out of the Dominican Republic, 17 years old. Big guy, 6'3", 3 pounds, left-handed stick. And then the number 40 prospect, Isaiah Suarez, another outfielder, signed for $1.9 million out of the Dominican Republic. Another 17-year-old, another 6'2" guy. He swings from the right side. So we talked a lot about the Nationals at this point. Again, this is a team probably not going to have a lot of success in 2026. So let's say we get to the trade deadline. Do they have movable assets that they could trade away to get some, good minor league players? I've really only highlighted three. I think the most likely is Zach Littell. Had a good year last year and could be a trade chip. He's paid $3 million this year, and there's a $12 million mutual option on the table for 2027. Feels like that would be a tradable asset, especially if Littell has a good season. Foster Griffin, I mentioned he's coming over from Korea. This year he's paid $5.5 million. Let's say he lights it up coming over from Korea. He's a free agent in 27, so I could see the Nationals wanting to move him. And then the only other one I included on the list, and I almost hesitated to do it, but Miles Mikolas, he's paid $2.25 million this year. He's a free agent next year. He does have a lot of major league innings on his resume. Just not a very good pitcher, but if for some reason he has some success, maybe the Nationals could look to move him. But that's it for your 2026 Nationals. This team is firmly entrenched in the bottom of my pyramid, somewhere in those last 10 teams. I don't know where, but I am very comfortable putting them at the bottom, maybe near the back in some ways. So we'll see in my final preview of Major League Baseball where they end up. But that is the Washington Nationals. All right. I am excited to talk about a team that is not the Nationals right now, and that is a team that I think is going to be very competitive in 2026. Extremely competitive. I'm really excited about this team, and that is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have had a really, really good run lately. Go back to 2021. They go 95-67, finish in first place, lose the National League Division Series 3-1 to Atlanta. 2022, they go 86-76, finish 7 games back, and just miss out on the playoffs. 2023, they go 92-70, finish in first place again, lost the National League Wild Card Series 2-0 to Arizona. 2024, they go 93-69, finish in first place, lose the National League Wild Card 2-1 to the Mets. Finally, 2025, they win 97 games, more wins than the Dodgers in the regular season. They go 97-65, win their division again, win the NLDS 3-2 over Chicago, but then lost the National League Championship Series. They were swept by the Dodgers 4-0. This is a team that last year they were 25-28 on May 24th. Then they reeled off 8 straight wins. They had another 11 wins in a row in July. Then they win 14 in a row in August. They've made the playoffs 7 of the last 8 seasons. For 14 seasons between 1993 and 2006, they had losing records. But then since that time, 13 of the last 19 seasons, they've had winning records. And again, in those 19 seasons, 9 playoff appearances. So this is a really good team that is not a big market. It's Milwaukee. 2021, they drew 1.8 million fans. 2022, they don't make the playoffs. They were competitive, but they didn't make the playoffs. They drew 2.4 million fans. 2023, 2.5 million fans. 24, 2.5 million fans. And then last year, they draw 2.65 million fans. So when I talk about these teams that aren't contending and bitch and complain about their owners not spending money on the team, this is a team that has been competitive without spending huge dollars to attract free agents to it. They've been successful because they have a good front office and the fans come out and support them, period. So take that, fans that like to complain about your team not doing the right things for them, Minnesota or whoever, Heck, even Baltimore. This is a very well-run team. Their manager is Pat Murphy. As of the 2024 season, he was previously the Brewers bench coach from 2016 to 2023. He was a college coaching legend at Arizona State. Did have a brief managerial stint in San Diego in 2015. He's got a long-standing relationship with Brewers president of baseball operations, Matt Arnold. He is a respected baseball teacher. He's a strong communicator. He's energetic, honest, passionate. He's older. He's in his mid-60s, and he's considered a more traditional relationship-driven manager compared to like some of the younger, very analytics-first managers. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he did great things for him last year, took him to 97 wins. I mentioned general manager. Their president of baseball operations is Matt Arnold. He was promoted in 2022 after David Stern stepped down. Arnold previously served as the Brewers general manager. He oversees roster construction, trades, free agency, scouting, player development, analytics strategy. He's seen as a very sharp executive with a strong analytical background. He's highly respected across baseball, known for creative roster building and strong pitching development. Look, the Brewers are seen as one of the smartest small market organizations in baseball. Exceptional pitching development, organizational stability. They are a good model to look at for a small market team. From an ownership standpoint, the team is owned by Mark Attanasio. He bought the team in 2005 for $223 million. He's a Los Angeles-based investment banker, or I should say investment manager. He's viewed positively. He's willing to spend when the team is competitive, but he's not going to spend recklessly. He's known for giving the baseball operations department the full authority to do their job. So just a really good system overall in Milwaukee. They play an American Family Field. It's a retractable dome. Runs are at a premium there. On an average scale of 100, their runs are at 94. So about 6% down from average. How it plays during the year: April, it plays up about 1%. May, it's up 5%. June is pretty flat with average. July, it's down 2%. August, it's down 2%. September, it's down 3%. Not huge swings overall. And again, it's hard to look at those numbers because you don't really know when that roof is retractable or when it's open or when it's closed. This is a team that went through a number of changes in the offseason. I like to look at this because I think it's how a successful team operates. So Freddie Peralta, top of the rotation starter, number one starter for this team. And what do? They go out and trade him to the Mets in the offseason. Peralta won 17 games with a 2.70 ERA, struck out 204 batters in 176 innings, pitched to a 108 whip, and they trade him away. But what do they get in return? Well, they get Jet Williams, a really good prospect, shortstop. They get Brandon Sproat, another really good prospect with the Mets. He's a starting pitcher. So they get two really good minor league players in return. They traded Caleb Durbin, an infielder, to the Red Sox. Durbin, 256, 11 home runs, 53 RBIs, 18 stolen bases. Really good numbers. But again, they trade him to the Red Sox and get back Kyle Harrison, starting pitcher. He's probably going to be in their rotation this year. They get back David Hamilton, a backup infielder. This is a team that is not afraid to make changes and even get rid of really good players. So that's just an example of what they do to remain competitive. And they don't trade these guys away like willy-nilly. They feel like they have people to backfill them, especially on the pitching side, which we'll talk about. They did lose Danny Jansen, a backup catcher who signed with the Rangers. Jansen, 215, 14 home runs, 36 RBIs last year. Rhys Hoskins signed with the Guardians. Hoskins, 237, 12 home runs, 43 RBIs last year. Traded Andrew Montesario to the Red Sox. I believe that was part of that Caleb Durbin trade. Montesario, 270, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. Jose Quintana signed with the Rockies, 11-7 with a 3.96 ERA. Good numbers. Again, they weren't going to overspend to keep him. Shelby Miller, they lost to the Cubs. Miller is now hurt, so probably not going to get a lot of playing time, so maybe not a huge loss for them. Isaac Collins was traded to the Royals. Collins, a .263 hitter, 9 home runs, 54 RBIs. A couple other players. Tobias Myers went over in that Mets trade, and Myers was 1-2 with a .355 ERA, so, good numbers, but they wanted those more prestigious minor league prospects in return. Nick Mears is a good relief pitcher. He is one that I think they could miss a little bit. Mears 5-3 with a .349 ERA last year, pitched 63 games, 56 and 2/3 innings, struck out 46 batters. Eric Feedy signed with the White Sox, and then Jordan Montgomery didn't pitch in 2025. He's actually only appeared in 25 games since his World Series title in 2023. So again, don't get me wrong, they lost some key players from last year, but most of them were in a trade. So who do they have, or who have they signed? Brandon Woodruff re-signed via qualifying offer, so he's on a 1-year deal. He was hurt, had Tommy John surgery, was out the better part of 2 years, but when he did pitch last year, was 7-2 with a .320 ERA. Started 12 games, 64 and 2/3 innings pitched, 83 strikeouts, and a whip of 0.91. I mentioned Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat, both young players, likely start in the minor leagues this year. Kyle Harrison was 1-1 with a .404 ERA, 11 games, 6 games started, struck out 38 and 35 and 2/3 innings. We'll talk about him in just a little bit. I mentioned David Hamilton coming over, backup infielder. Let's see, Angel Zerpa came over in a trade with the Royals. Zerpa 5-2 with a .418 ERA, 64 and 2/3 innings, 58 strikeouts. Luis Rengifo is a utility infielder, only batted .238, 9 home runs, 43 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases, but he's a utility guy. Gary Sanchez, a backup catcher, .231, 5 home runs, and 24 RBIs. And then they added Akil Badu, an outfielder from Detroit. He only had 17 at-bats last year. So that's the changes that occurred on this Brewers team between last year and this year. And look, when you look at them, overall, hitting, starting pitching, relief pitching, they were one of the best teams in baseball last year. Hitting, they were 3rd in average, 2nd in on-base percentage, and 11th in OPS. Starting pitching, they were 3rd in ERA and 11th in WHIP, and their bullpen was 6th in ERA and 8th in WHIP. So even though you move some players, you still have a really good foundation here. So let's talk about what I see as their starting lineup. You've got a absolute stud, 22 years old. He will be 22 throughout this season. Jackson Chourio, potential future MVP of this league. Last year, when he was 21 years old, batted .270, 21 home runs, 21 stolen bases, got on base at a .308 clip, slugging percentage of .463. But again, 22 years old. He's going to play left field. Bryce Terang is 26 years old. He was the 21st overall pick of the Brewers back in 2018. And boy, this guy has become a stud. .288 hitter, got on base at .359 clip, 18 home runs, 24 stolen bases, .435 slugging. That gets you an OPS over 800. So Bryce Terang, really good second baseman. William Contreras is their catcher. He's 28 years old, batted .260 last year, 17 home runs, .355 on base percentage, .399 slugging. Pretty good for a catcher. Kristen Yelich is the veteran of this team. He's 34 years old. Likely will DH, can play outfield. He's a left-handed stick. Last year batted .264, 29 home runs, can still steal 16 bases. Gets on base .343, slugging of .452. So what is that? Almost an 800 OPS. Really good numbers. Sal Frelick was the 15th overall pick of the Brewers back in 2021. He's going to play right field most of the time. Frelick batted .288 with 12 home runs and 19 stolen bases last year. Looks at, can see the ball really well in the batter's box. He gets on base, .351 is his on base percentage. So really good. Andrew Vaughn was the third overall pick by the White Sox back in 2019. Couldn't find himself with the White Sox. Came over to the Brewers last year. Batted .254 with 14 home runs. Much better than what he had been in Chicago. He'll get a chance to play first base most of the time on this team. I mentioned Luis Renifo coming over and said he's a utility guy. He could play third base quite a bit. Renifo, 238, 9 home runs, 10 stolen bases. He only gets on base at a 287 clip. Look, he could be spelled by a David Hamilton, maybe another bench guy. Hamilton, 198 last year, 6 home runs, but 22 stolen bases. He's likely to be a bat off the bench. Going back to the starting lineup, center field, it's likely Garrett Mitchell. He was the 20th overall pick of the Brewers back in 2020. Struggled last year and also was injured, only had 78 at-bats, batted .206. He'll get a chance to play much more often. Joey Ortiz, former Oriole, playing shortstop for this team, only batted .230 last year, 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. So, it's a pretty young lineup. I really like Churio, Turang, Frelick, really good young players. I like Contreras, a little more older, more of a veteran, and really like Yelich in this lineup. So, again, a lot to like. If I look at the bench, Gary Sanchez is going to back up at catcher. He's a really good backup catcher. Jake Bauers can play first base. He can play the outfield. Bauers, .235 hitter with 7 homers, 8 stolen bases. And then Blake Perkins is another one. Perkins, 29 years old. He can play the outfield. He can switch hit. .226, 3 home runs, 7 stolen bases last year. By the way, we're going to talk about some of the Brewers prospects, and you'll see that they've got a lot that could make an impact this year. Can they sustain that third overall in baseball average, second on base percentage? I think this is a team that just knows how to get on base. They know how to steal bases. They were second in all of baseball with stolen bases. So now let's turn to their starting pitching. Again, they lost their top of the rotation arm and Freddie Peralta. What does this rotation look like? Again, a rotation that finished 3rd in ERA and 11th in WHIP last year. Top of the rotation, Brandon Woodruff. If he is healthy, I already gave you his numbers, 64 and 2/3 innings, 83 strikeouts, a 3.20 ERA. If he's healthy, he's going to come out there every 5th day and deliver. Jacob Misiorowski is 23. He'll be 24 years old on opening day. Pitched for the first time for the Brewers last year and was just dynamite. 66 innings, just 51 hits, 87 strikeouts in those 66 innings. Now, he walked 31 batters. He's going to have to work on that. But 4.36 ERA, this guy has all the makings of a number 2 starter at a minimum. So keep an eye on Misiorowski this year. Chad Patrick is likely going to fall in around the 3rd spot in the rotation. Patrick, last year, a really nice year. 19 and 2/3 innings, just 113 hits given up. Struck out 127 batters, pitched to a 3.53 ERA. I think that's really good for your 3rd starter. Kyle Harrison comes over from the Red Sox. He's probably going to fill in that number 4 role. Harrison, 24 years old. He was the 3rd round pick of the Giants back in 2000. 4.04 ERA last year, 35 and 2/3 innings, 35 hits, 38 strikeouts. He'll get a chance to get the ball every 5th day and see what he can do. And then I'm going to suggest, and I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I think Brandon Sproat, who came over in the Mets deal for Peralta, I wouldn't be shocked if he broke camp with the Brewers as a 5th starter. 20 and 2/3 innings last year, 18 hits, 17 strikeouts, pitched to a 4.79 ERA. That was only in 4 games started, but I think he could crack this rotation. So if that's the case, you have Woodruff, the 33-year-old, and then your starting pitchers are 23, going on 24. So call it 24 for Misiorowski, 27 for Chad Patrick, 24 for Kyle Harrison, 25 for Brandon Sproat. Pretty young rotation. Can they be the 6th best starting rotation in baseball? Might be a lot to ask, but I feel like they could be top 3rd in the league. What about their bullpen? They finished 6th in ERA, 8th in WHIP. They have not settled on a closer yet. It could be by committee. I'll throw out Trevor McGill, who saved 30 games for them last year, 47 innings, 36 hits, and 60 strikeouts, pitched to a 2.49 ERA. He could very well get the ball in closing situations, but Abner Uribe has been just dominant for this team. Last year, 75 and a third innings, 51 hits, and 90 strikeouts, pitched to a 1.67 ERA. He did save 7 games. So I don't know if it's going to be a Uribe or a McGill closing games. It could be a committee approach where they pick one or the other. Both of them are right-handers. But, Uribe is 25 years old, out of the Dominican, and just an explosive arm. So you should feel pretty good about your closing situation in Milwaukee. From a setup standpoint, you've got 2 lefties to look at. Jared Koenig is the first. Koenig, 66 innings last year, 57 hits and 68 strikeouts, pitched to a 2.86 ERA, really good numbers. Aaron Ashby is the other, also a left-hander. Ashby, 66 and 2/3 innings, just 54 hits, 76 strikeouts, and a 2.16 ERA. So again, back end of the bullpen, you got 2 closers, 2 setup guys, really, really strong. When you look at middle reliever, I mentioned Angel Zerpa coming over, 4.18 ERA, 64 and 2/3 innings, 67 hits, 58 strikeouts. I think he'll just do fine in this Milwaukee bullpen. Grant Anderson in middle relief. Anderson pitched to a 3.23 ERA last year, 69 and 2/3 innings, just 59 hits and 74 strikeouts. Really good numbers for a middle reliever. And then Rob Zastrinski, 27 years old, actually the 21st overall pick of the Orioles back in 41st overall pick of the Cubs back in 2013. He's 34 years old, but Zastrinski, 22 innings, 16 hits, and 20 strikeouts last year, pitched to a 2.45 ERA. Long relief, I think there's a good chance that former Oriole prospect DL Hall will get that role. Hall was the 21st pick of this Orioles team back in 2017. Last year, 38 and 2/3 innings, 24 hits, 27 strikeouts, a 3.49 ERA. Would not be surprised if Hall comes out and pitches really well, if he would get a chance to start for this team at some point in 2026. So that's what the makeup of this roster for the Brewers. Again, I really love this team. I love how they get on base. I love how they steal bases. I love their starting rotation. I think they have a really strong bullpen. I mentioned that this is also a team that could add from their minor league system this year. So let's talk about their history from a minor league standpoint. This is a team that Baseball America ranked 28th back in 2021 from a farm system standpoint, so not great. They were 25th in 2022, 13th in 2023, second in 2024. They graduated some of these guys, so they were 9th in 2025, but then they loaded up again. And right now, Baseball America has them as the 3rd best farm system in all of baseball. So let's talk about some of these guys who, again, could graduate. I've got about 6 guys I want to talk about. First one is Jesus Mate. He is a shortstop. He is 18 years old. He is the 4th best prospect in all of baseball. 6'1", 187 pounds. He was part of the 2024 international signing class. He signed for $950,000. I'm going to talk about Luis Pena in a second, who was also part of that class and signed for $800,000. Now I'm going back to Mate. He debuted in the Dominican Summer League in 2024. He was co-minor league player of the year. In 2025, he skipped the rookie level Arizona Complex League, started in low A ball, got promoted to high A ball, finished the season at double A as an 18-year-old, which doesn't happen very often, ended up being the Brewers minor league player of the year. He is very well-rounded offensively. He's a polished hitter, compact, smooth, and like whippy swing with really good balance. He's got good rhythm, really good timing. He is a switch hitter who hits well and has really good timing from both sides of the plate. He sees pitches really well. He lets pitches travel deep into the hitting zone, and then he can use the whole field. He really sees the ball well. His hand-eye coordination and adjustability of his swing is really, really good. Look, he's very advanced for being 18 years old. He is consistently putting together quality at bats. His bat speed already flashes plus raw power. He's got a flatter swing path that doesn't generate a ton of loft. He'll learn that over time. His strength projection to grow into, he's 6'1", 187. This is a guy who has the potential to have 25 plus home run power. He's athletic. He's a plus runner. He stole 47 bases in 2025. This could be a 30-30 guy. He's got raw tools for shortstop. The defensive component of his game probably needs the most amount of work, but he can develop into a really solid defensive shortstop. He might end up at third base in the long run. He's 6'1" right now as an 18-year-old. Might be better, given his size, to stick at third base, but he could stick at shortstop. He could even play at second base. He is following in the footsteps of Jackson Chourio as the Brewers' international signing that reaches the major leagues as a 20-year-old, just like Chourio did. This guy could be a potential all-star season in and season out. I would expect him to start at Double-A Biloxi this year, but again, 18 years old. I don't think it will take him too long to reach the Major League Baseball. Luis Pena, I mentioned him a second ago. He is the 47th overall prospect in baseball. He is also a shortstop. He's a year older than Made. Now, Pena is 5'11", 185 pounds. He also had a really good pro debut in the Dominican Summer League. He skipped rookie level ball, the Arizona Complex League, and started right away with low A Carolina as an 18-year-old and earned a promotion to high A ball in August. He's got a really impressive athleticism. He's got really good hand-eye coordination as an offensive-oriented infielder. He's got an aggressive approach at the plate, but it's balanced, and he has a controlled swing. He's got minimal swing and miss in his game, and he has significantly improved that over time, and he improved his power in 2025. He now sits at, average raw power with exit velocities as high as 113 miles an hour, which is really good. His swing path is geared more towards line drives than loft. That's not bad. That's okay. He needs to continue to become a little more selective as a hitter. He does have some chase tendencies that got him into some trouble once he got promoted to high A ball. You saw a little bit more swing and miss with him. He's a plus runner with plus arm. Defense is still a little bit shaky. Some do not feel like he will be able to stick at shortstop. Maybe a better fit for second base or third base. His hands, his internal clock, and his defensive instincts, they will all improve with time. If he moved to the outfield, his speed could be a huge asset. He isn't as well-rounded as Made, but this is a guy that could reach the big leagues before his 21st birthday. Let's see what he does. Hopefully seeing some time in Double-A this year. Cooper Pratt, yet another shortstop for this team, although he's the third shortstop I'm talking about, and the last two I've talked away from the Brewers not wanting them to be at shortstop. Pratt is the 50th best prospect in all of baseball, 6'4", 195 pounds. He signed out of high school in 2023, signed an above slot deal, $1.35 million above slot. He's an aggressive. He drew an aggressive assignment in 2025, spending all year at Double-A, and that was as a 20-year-old, and held his own. 38, got on base, 343. 348 slugging was a little low. Not at wonderful numbers, but still an OPS above the Southern League average, and he got to play every day. He's got very high baseball IQ, really good baseball instincts. He'll expand the strike zone a touch more often than he should, and that could be a little bit of a problem. He does have a good sense of timing with the hand-eye coordination that leads to, a relatively low swing and miss rate. How much power he develops is probably the biggest offensive question. He hasn't shown that yet. He doesn't have big bat speed for his top-end exit velocities. They're below average. He doesn't project to be a big home run threat. He moves pretty well for his size. Like I said, 6'4", 195 pounds, plus speed once he's underway on the base paths. He doesn't have typical quick twitch explosiveness. His instincts and his internal clock projects him to stick at shortstop. He'll have to work on his hands and feet work a little bit, but he does have good body control and a quick release. Pratt's edge in the defensive side of things probably gives him the inside track to be the regular shortstop for this team, meaning guys like Pena and Made probably have to move to third base or second base or the outfield. But, I would expect Pratt to open at AAA as a 21-year-old. Wouldn't be surprised if he made his big league debut by the end of the year. Like I said, from a scouting grade standpoint, power is a 45, running is a 55, his arms is 60, hit grade's a 50. So see what he does in the minors and then potentially jump into the major leagues by the end of the year. I want to cover two more players, actually three more. The next two came over from the Yankees. I have to mention them. Jet Williams, another shortstop. Yes, another shortstop. 71st overall prospect in baseball. Jet Williams, just 5'6", 175 pounds, 22 years old. The Mets drafted him with the 14th overall pick in 2022. Watched him reach AA ball by the tail end of his breakthrough 2023 season. He did have wrist surgery, which limited him to 33 games in 2024. But then in 2025, he spent a strong season, mostly spent at AA. Plus, he had 34 additional games at AAA. He batted overall .261, a .363 on base percentage, .465 slugging percentage, hit 17 home runs, stole 34 bases, all of that in 130 games. He's got plus speed. He's got versatility to play shortstop, second base, center field. He consistently draws walks, gets on base, steals bases, does his best hitting when he lines the ball into gaps and then uses his plus speed to take extra bases. His swing gets a little too big at times and it costs him with some, empty flyouts. Most of his action has been seen at shortstop. He's average at the position, but he's also pretty fluid at the position. His plus arm plays in the middle of the infield and really well in the outfield. He's capable of playing outfield with decent routes and jumps to the ball really well. He's got average range. So, again, he could be a shortstop, third base, second base, center field. I think it's likely he will end up being a middle infielder, likely to start off the year AA, AAA, could make his appearance in Milwaukee at some point this year. But if you just look at those players I just mentioned, they are all potential infielders, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop, potential outfielders. And that is why this Brewers system is ranked third in baseball. They are just loaded with talent. I've got two more that are in the top 100 too. Brandon Sproat is 81st overall in baseball, and I'm going to mention him because he could break camp with the Brewers for opening day. He's 25 years old now, 6'3", 210 pounds. He did pitch last year for the Mets in the major leagues. He was drafted in the third round of 2022, but he was not signed. But then in 2023, the Mets signed him again as a Florida senior and signed him for slot value. He breezed through high A ball and AA in 2024, but then hit AAA and kind of got stuck there a little bit. Floundered at that level in 2025, and through his first 22 starts at AAA over 2 seasons, that spanned 2 seasons, he was pitching to a 6.45 ERA and only had a 15.7 strikeout rate. Now, for those of you that know baseball, that strikeout rate is way too low. That ERA is way too high. That's 6 runs a game, 6.5 runs a game. You can't have that. But then starting in June of last year, everything changed. He made 11 appearances, had a 2.44 ERA, started doubling his strikeouts. He ended up with a strikeout rate of 30%. He got called up on September 7th to the Mets, made 4 starts and varying qualities to those starts. He, when he was first called up or made his AA and AAA visits, he was shaky. He had a lot of control issues. He did throw some breaking balls, like his secondary pitches were pretty good. He had a mid-80s sweeper, a high 70s curveball, and a lot of his time in the minors was working on those pitches and using them as put-away pitches. His sinker that he throws sits 94 to 96 miles an hour. That's pretty high velocity, but despite that velocity, it operates as a good ground ball or setup pitch rather than a strikeout pitch. He's got an average four-seam fastball. His power changeup remains a plus pitch. He throws it at 89 to 91 miles an hour, and it does have a lot of life. Look, he's got all the ingredients to be a solid number 1 or number 4 starter in a rotation, maybe a little bit better than that. I think it's likely he could see and be that number 4, number 5 starter for this Brewers team. We will see if he breaks camp with them. If he doesn't and he goes back and throws like he did the second half of the year in the minor leagues, he probably will be called up and see what he can do. So that's Sproat. The other one I want to talk about is Logan Henderson, because Sproat and Henderson could be vying for a place in that starting rotation. Now, Henderson's had a few elbow issues, so we're going to have to watch that. Henderson's 23 years old, 5'11", 194 pounds, comes in as the 96th overall prospect in baseball. He won the national championship with McLean Junior College in Texas. He was a 4th-round pick of the Brewers. He had an avulsion fracture in his right elbow in spring training that year, which required surgery, wiping out nearly all of his 2022 season. He did pitch well in 23 and 24 and then kept it going in 25. He did make his major league debut for the Brewers last year in April, and he pitched really well between Milwaukee and AAA ball. His season did end on August 3rd due to a flexor strain in his right elbow. He's still battling some of those elbow issues, which are cause for concern. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that for a guy with the upside of Logan Henderson. He's got, he's 5'11", so he's got this really compact, efficient delivery. He fills the strike zones and keeps hitters off balance with his changeup. His fastball sits 91 to 95, tickles 96, so he doesn't overpower you, but a slightly below average velocity for a starter, but he also has low release heights that help his pitches play up a little bit. He does, like I said, he throws strikes. I mean, this guy is just a prolific strike thrower. He's got an unusually high spin for a changeup that averages 19 inches of fade, and it's 10 miles an hour off of his fastball. So that off speed pitch kind of frustrates batters at times. Despite the lack of a great breaking ball, his low to mid 80s sliders, he flashes it, but it's a below average pitch. He did introduce a mid to upper 80s cutter to give hitters something else to think about. He'll continue to work on those pitches. If he's healthy, he's going to factor into Milwaukee's rotation, period. No doubt about it. But again, those elbow injuries, you don't want him to have Tommy John surgery or do something that causes that, potentially miss a year of baseball. So they're going to be cautious with him. If he is healthy, though, he absolutely has the stuff to stick in the rotation. So I went a little deeper there on the minor leagues with this team, but it is the 3rd best system in baseball. So I wanted to introduce you to some of those players from an international signing class. Even though some of those players I just spoke about, a lot of them you heard me say they could reach Milwaukee this year. So they're going to graduate a lot of those players, and there's a possibility that their farm system rankings will drop back again. But out of the top 50 in the international signing class this January, they signed the number 20 overall player, Ricky Mones. He is a shortstop, signed for $1.15 million out of the Dominican. He's 17 years old, left-handed bat. They signed Diego Frontado, another shortstop, 24th prospect in this international class. He signed for $1.6 million out of Venezuela. He is also 17. And then they signed shortstop Jose Rodriguez for $1.5 million. He's the 9th best prospect out of Venezuela, also 17 years old. So they keep signing these shortstop prospects. You have those 3 that all right now are slated for shortstop. When I talk about Mare, Pena, Pratt, and Williams, all shortstops. So, but look, a lot of these athletic young kids, they all come out playing shortstop, a very athletic position, but they find a home somewhere else. You never have to worry about a path being blocked if you have the athleticism to play shortstop. The Brewers, by the way, were Baseball America's Organization of the Year in 2025. And look, they could easily repeat as the Organization of the Year. Now, let's say shit hits the fan and this team does underaccomplishes in 2026, and they're out of the race at trade deadline time. I think that is highly, highly, highly unlikely. But if they were out of the race, they do have some really good assets they could move. So I'll start with Brandon Woodruff. It is very likely this is his last year in Milwaukee. He signed that qualifying offer for $22 million in 26. He's a free agent next year. If this team falls out of the race and Woodruff pitches really well, he will absolutely be a huge trade asset, one of the best trade assets in baseball. William Contreras is signed for $9.4 million this year. He's got a $14.5 million club option for next year, and then he's a free agent in 28. He could be a trade guy, a trade asset if this team falls out of the race. Aaron Ashby is another guy, $5.7 million in 26. He's got he's signed for $7.7 million next year as well. Then in 28, he does have a $9 million club option. 29, he's got a $13 million club option. So you may be saying, why are you calling him a trade asset when the team can control him for 4 more years? That is very true. All that I'm saying is they've got a lot of talent in the minor league level. If you think you can trade Aaron Ashby for even more minor league talent to continue to keep that system fresh, that is a possibility. 3 more players to a lesser degree. Luis Rengifo, I'll throw his name out there, $2 million contract this year, $10 million mutual option next year. He is a utility player, a backup infielder. Maybe a contending team would be interested in trading for him. Gary Sanchez, kind of the same thing, a really good backup catcher, signed for $1.75 million this year, and there's a mutual option. I'm not sure what the dollar amount is for next year, but could be a good trade asset. Probably wouldn't bring a huge return to the Brewers, but somebody to keep an eye on. And then I'll end it with Jake Bauers. Bauers makes $2.7 million this year. He's a free agent in 27. Bauers is a bench asset, 235 last year, 7 home runs, but maybe a good bench asset for a contending team. That, my friends, is the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that I am very excited about. Honestly, when I look at them on this pyramid, I think this team could be literally a top tier team. And when I say top tier, I mean one of the 2 best teams in baseball. They might not. Maybe in my final predictions for the season, maybe I have them down a tier, but this is a really good team. I think this team could be World Series caliber. All right, friends, that is it for another review of 2 more teams. Again, thank you for listening in and learning a lot about all of these teams, a little bit of their history, front office, all of that. Today, again, we covered the Nationals, who are at the bottom of Major League Baseball, and the Brewers, who I think are near the top. We have 2 more teams to cover tomorrow, our last 2 teams, and it's going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you can probably imagine where I'll have them picked, and the Miami Marlins, who maybe you have an idea of where I'll have them picked, but the Marlins could be a little bit sneaky this year. That's all I'll say. But again, if you enjoy the podcast, make sure you subscribe. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch your podcasts or listen to your podcasts. Follow me on social media at TellusEllisHQ. That's on X. That's on Instagram. And if you have questions, want to join the show, want to trash me, whatever, just shoot me an email. Jamie@TellusEllis.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, see you later, everybody.